Solo, I love you. And I acknowledge that you are not my tribal.
Man, just listening to it, it gives me chills watching that scene that unfolded on Friday night. I want to get your thoughts right now on what you thought about Friday night. I'm saying that is the segment, the best segment that WWE has had since WrestleMania. Incredible moment. Just, I loved it. I must have watched it 20 times.
Yeah, the big thing here for me is that I did not watch this live. I watched this, I believe, on Monday afternoon or Monday night. And credit to the Jabroni Drive text line for not spoiling it for me. I was blown away by this whole honestly the whole SmackDown episode was really, really, really good. But this segment specifically, if you're looking for my thoughts on it, um, I felt it was uncomfortable, which is good, right? Because when Solo goes to the acknowledge me thing, he's crossing a line, okay? And it's a definitive line. I don't think, or I can recall, correct me if I'm wrong, that he has ever said that. He's ever said acknowledge me to anyone. I feel like this is the first time he's actually crossed that line. And the crowd reaction to it was very uncomfortable. It was like, dude, what is he doing? Like, this is like,
He's
it's
not allowed
almost
to
when,
do that.
yeah, when you're watching a movie, like, dude, you can't say that. It's like when you're just like you get awkward and you kind of like look down and look away. You're like, oh Jesus, don't do this. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost embarrassing. Uh, and my God, Paul Heyman is just the master of I don't even know what to call it. Uh,
He's the GOAT. He's the greatest
he's
manager of all time. I mean, I even think that even if he was alive today and you ask Bobby the Brain, he admits that Paul Heyman is the best. I
dude,
mean,
his
it's
voice.
incredible.
And you listen to that clip in the beginning of the show here a couple minutes ago, and you hear his voice inflection and the way he delivers that really is just it's perfect. And it carries that much more weight. Like, and I think our audience knows, the people that listen to the show know that that's what you have to do to sell is it's not just the moves, it's not the wrestling moves, it's really just it's everything else that goes into telling a story. And the more that the WWE buys into this and puts more emphasis on it, um, it's making their product head and shoulders above anything else that we've seen or have seen in the past. And they're leaning into it so much, and I love it. But that segment, and then for Paul, we talked about, I said it's not just the wrestling moves, but what they did to Paul Heyman after what we
Incredible.
just heard
Yeah.
was something that we've spoken about, Tom, about selling out. We need to see this happen with like this group, or they need to destroy somebody, or they need to leave. It needs to be unhinged. And my God, was it unhinged? And again, this is why Paul Heyman's the GOAT for taking those bumps. I mean, he took a frog splash, the same frog splash that Cody Rhodes took the week before, who is a top notch professional athlete in the best shape of his life,
Yes.
to take, the solo spike and then to go through, take a power bomb, a triple power bomb, almost a shield
Yeah.
power bomb through a table. It's unprecedented, and it's gonna make Roman Reigns' return all that more special when it happens.
Yeah. When Roman returns, will go down if done correctly, and I'm very, you know,
There's no reason to
optimistic.
there's no reason to think it's not going to be done correctly
Yeah,
with what's been
exactly.
happening.
And I'm thinking it will be one of the all-time returns. And who knows, because they've wowed us in these last year with their ability to tell the story and actually give a surprise that it might even be better than what we hope for, you know? So I want to break down the entire thing. And the look of Heyman when he's out there, unshaved, gray in his hair, his eyes are bloodshot, teary. You mentioned his voice, the inflection in his voice, and what he does, it comes out, is he deprives himself of sleep going into these types of segments to really give that look and that feel. And that's next level. That's like, when you talk about, like, amazing actors, they do things like this. Like, I first thing that popped in my head was Raging Bull, when De Niro's putting on weight, taking off weight, and doing things like that. And I know it's not to that degree, but the idea of a professional wrestler, a manager in professional wrestling, having this ability to act and portray this story in the Bloodline storyline, which in my opinion is the greatest storyline in professional wrestling history. It's so good. We're right back into it, and it's been 3+ years of this story, and it's like they just took it to another level. And the attack afterwards, the way it was done, dragging him out of the ring, and it wasn't like, okay, let's get him up and, like, he'll walk out and we'll do. No, they drug him under the ropes. It was funny that they had to lift up that bottom rope because his belly is fairly big, and putting him through that table. And when they lifted him up, I said, oh my God. Like, in my head, I was like, oh no. I was like, they could seriously hurt him. He's not, like you said, he's not Cody Rhodes. He's not a very in shape. He's older. I mean, if something goes wrong there, you could get serious, serious injury to someone that doesn't normally take a bump like that. And the whole build of it in Madison Square Garden, where Paul Heyman started his career when he was a young kid, sneaking in to take photos of professional wrestlers, Vince McMahon's dad hiring him for photos, and just everyone knows his story. The whole thing, it was amazing. I loved it. That is professional wrestling. And one more thing that you were talking about, Tim, the story. How often have we talked about on this show? It's about telling a story. Will Ospreay, Ricochet, incredible athletes that can do almost anything in the ring, acrobatic, flipping, whatever. Tell the story, make the people feel something. And that reaction when he says, "You are not my tribal chief," and the roof blows off the place, not only does that a great moment for him, we're talking about Roman's return. The way they attacked Paul puts Roman over even more, because Paul is defenseless. He can't help himself. There's no way. And it makes you like Paul Heyman, which makes you like Roman more, because Roman's going to protect Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman knew that he was going to be beaten and attacked, and he still had the guts to say, "You're not my tribal chief," in the story. It was just an incredible moment, and I just, like, I was blown away. Like, wow, they done it again, and just right back to the top of everything is that story right there.
And it's crazy, like to see the range that Paul Heyman brings to his character whenever it's needed. Like, I mean, with Brock Lesnar, right? He's this stalwart, right? That is just steadfast in how he delivers, right? And now he's with Solo, and he's completely vulnerable and turns into this groveling type, right, character where he's completely lost control and has no idea where he wants to go or how to turn or how to resolve this whole situation. And um it's it's like the hero's journey almost, right? Like with what happens with Roman Reigns, right? He loses the title, he walks away in the darkness, right? After losing to this great American hero, who has this huge story, and Roman Reigns goes away as the villain and is forgotten, right? But he's almost like a necessity now, right? Like
Right.
now you hear it's crazy, like how the crowd responds now. You're hearing chants for "We want Roman." It's like
Right. Yeah.
this is the ultimate villain, and now he's being heralded like, "Hey, we need you back to make this thing right." And it's really strange. Like it's a crazy archetype that Roman Reigns is on, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he returns, in what capacity. I mean, he could go any direction. He could come back as a villain. He could come back as a face or a heel. But whatever they do, he's certainly needed right now.
Yeah. And even like to another step further of where then that goes. And, we're going to love trying to break that down and throw out ideas that we like or where it could go. I mean, when will we see a Roman Reigns, I mean, who knows? I'm of the feeling that kind of the longer we wait, the more it's going to be a payoff. And there's a fine line between going too long and doing at the right time. And The Rock is also involved in this. How is he going to be involved in this bloodline story? And I know he's been the last name. Well, I'm going to say CM Punk. Could he be involved in the story? Paul was asking him for help before that. Obviously, Jimmy and Jay Uso. Another name that, it's he'd have to go through a lot of things legally, but is a Brock Lesnar ever going to be involved in this storyline? I mean, how amazing would the pop be for his music to hit when Paul's being attacked or belittled or something like that? Because Brock is the beast. He can go against this animalistic type of attack the new bloodline has, and that would sell a lot of tickets. So this story, masterclass by Paul Heyman, and the WWE does it again.